Hello and welcome back. I hope you are well. This is part 2 of the art supplies that I'm taking with me on my 3-week trip to America. And in this video we're talking about the paper I'm taking with me, starting with the sketchbook I'm bringing, and then what this is. So starting with the sketchbook, this is a Royal Talens Art Creation A5 sketchbook in the colour Fresh Mint. I've been wanting to pick up the pastel range for a little while now, ever since I found out about the new colours. I tend to just get the black sketchbooks because they work out cheaper, but for a trip I thought I'd treat myself and get one of the pastel colours. If you've seen some of my other videos before, you'll know that I love this sketchbook for my everyday sketching. It's my preferred sketchbook for studying, for graphite specifically, for dry media. Some of my ink pens, my brush pens, work really well in here. And for me it's a nice balance of quality and also being cheap enough that I'm not afraid to burn through them and get all of that mileage in. And it is cream coloured paper. It is smooth, but it has enough tooth to pick up graphite really beautifully for how I like graphite and how I like to draw with graphite. You might be different, some people prefer rough paper. If you're interested in this washi tape, this came on an envelope for a job stone that I ordered from Franny Stones on Etsy. And this was on the packaging and I ended up taking it off the packaging and gluing it into here. One thing about these sketchbooks is that they do not have a pocket in the back, so like Moleskine does have a pocket in the back. I generally don't use the pocket in the back. I know some artists do on a frequent basis. It doesn't bother me too much, but for how I'm using this sketchbook on my trip, I did need one or want one. So what I did was I stuck in an envelope into the back of here using permanent glue tape across all of the edges so it's properly stuck in here. And in here we have some cut down, so I cut these down from a larger sheet. This is 100% cotton cold press Saunders Waterford paper. This is 300 GSM. So I have some proper watercolour paper here, and then we also have some Hahnemuhle Nostalgie paper that I cut down from the A5 pad that I got in a recent haul video. So we have some different kinds of paper here. Now that I have this paper on top for comparison, you can see how warm this paper colour is compared to the watercolour paper. Because of how I set up this DIY pocket in the back, it can't fit too many sheets in it. There are ways you can DIY a much, I don't know what you call it, higher capacity, there we go, pocket in the back. There are ways to do that, but I just decided to stick an envelope in the back so it can fit a few sheets in. But this is where this comes in. So this is quite thin. It's very light. It's a lot lighter than if I took this and a watercolour sketchbook. But what I have in here is more sheets of watercolour paper, more sheets of the Hahnemuhle Nostalgie, and then here we have a block of hot press 300 GSM 100% cotton watercolour paper, and this block I've gotten through half of it now. So we have hot press paper here, and these are all either the size in the case of the block, or they're cut to size that they can all be glued into this sketchbook while I'm on the go. In my pencil case, I am carrying, one moment, the pencil case is behind me. Here we are. In my pencil case, I do have this glue tape. It's the permanent version. You can get permanent, or you can get the kind where you can peel it back up and continue sticking it down in different places. This is the permanent glue. And this is also what I used to stick in the envelope in the back. So I have this for sticking in any of the sheets of paper that I use, or for sticking in like tickets or things that I collect on my travels. And this is how I ended up deciding to have a setup where I had a sketchbook that I knew I'd use a lot for general sketching, but also have the ability to do watercolour painting as well. You can use watercolour in this paper, and I probably will do a few watercolour sketches on this paper, but generally you only want to do light washes, kind of like when you use Moleskine art collection paper. It's okay for light washes of watercolour, but it's quite thin and it's just not going to take watercolour as well as actual watercolour paper, so your 100% cotton thick watercolour paper. I am going to be spending some of my time in the Smoky Mountains, and I really want to paint them while I'm there, and I know that I want to paint them. So for me, taking watercolour paper is something that I really want to do for my trip. And this is what I ended up coming up with to balance, like I said, compact, being able to do lots and lots of sketching without worrying about the sketchbook being too fancy to use or anything like that, or worrying about taking a 100% cotton sketchbook and being concerned about doing graphite scribbles in it, but also still being able to have watercolour paper with me. This is what has ended up working out for me. In the comments, let me know what works out for you when you go travel sketching, or even just wandering outside on a plein air sketch adventure, or maybe even if you go sketching in a cafe. What do you like bringing with you? Do you bring different things every time you go? Do you have your one sketchbook you love taking? Do you like taking a couple different kinds of sketchbooks? Let me know. We're all different, and it's all really interesting hearing about the variety in artists and in our creative processes. So this is the final video in the art supplies I'm taking with me. I will be on my trip still when this video goes up. I do hope to show you some of the sketches that will end up being in here when I'm back, and I will see you in future videos. Take care.